A couple of weeks ago, Neewer sent me their F700 field monitor. So I had some time to play with it and see how it works. And there are a few things that I really like about this ultra bright 2000 nits field monitor. There are some things that have surprised me and a couple of things that I wish they could improve on. So first and foremost, let me introduce you to my small little studio here. You can see that we have this chocobo set up on our small test stool or test chair here. And yeah, we have a couple of lights. We have the GH7 camera here, the GH6 for our overhead shot. We also have another GH7 filming me here. And yeah, just if you're interested, we're recording this with the MKH416 and the Rode Wireless Pro, just for all those camera, photography, videography nerds out there that like to talk about gear. And yeah, today we'll be taking a look at the Neewer F700 field monitor. Just for full disclosure, Neewer sent this monitor to me a couple of weeks ago, and this unit was free, but they don't see this video before anyone else. So everything I'll say here is my own opinion, and I do have some critique as well, although it's overall a very good monitor for the price. But let's take a look at everything. And yeah, right now I am shooting in Vlog. So we're seeing a corrected image here. And I can quickly show you how bright this thing goes, because that's one of the things that really surprised me. I mean, I was using it outdoors, and usually when I was filming with the Ninja 5, for example, which is the monitor that I had before this one, I always needed some sort of sun hood or something, especially when it was completely bright, if the sun was shining, if there were no clouds or anything. This monitor, on the other hand, can stack up fairly well against that. So I would say it's still not, I mean, more nits is always better. But overall, this is a very, very bright monitor. It's basically a hard type of plastic. It's not a bad finish, although it does not have like a lot of grip to it. So if you have slippery fingers, then this one might actually slip out of your hand. So you have to be kind of careful with it. We can take a look at the rest of it here. I have to be a little bit careful here because I'm using USB-C to power this monitor right now, which is one of those killer features I really like about this thing. So you usually power it with NPF batteries, as you can see on the back side here. You can either use one NPF battery or two NPF batteries. One will work just fine, but if you get two, then of course the monitor will last longer. And then you also have a DC out for 8.4 volts, I think, which you can use to actually power your camera. I did not have the right adapter to actually test this out, but it should work, and with two large NPF batteries. And by the way, this is the one that came with the monitor. So I think they have a package where it's just the monitor, one where it's two batteries. And if it's one battery, I think it has slightly larger capacity. So this one is 5,200 milliamp hours, and the package that comes with two batteries is 4,400 milliamp hours. So yeah, I've used this one, and it had really good runtime. Although of course more batteries, especially if you're on the longer shoots, then yeah, get as many batteries as possible. And also, like I said, right now I am just using a 5-volt USB. So you don't even need power delivery, because I think I'm just using regular USB type A to C here, and it will work even at full brightness, as far as I can tell. So as you can see, yeah, this is severely overexposed on the camera above here. So yeah, you can see even like this, still fairly bright. Yeah, let's take a look at the rest of the ports here. Like I said, there's the USB-C input. We have this 8.4 volt output. We have a headphone jack. We also have an SD card input, which you can use to upload Luts to this. It's a nice feature, but I personally like to just shoot in log or a natural picture profile and do all the color grading in post. But if you're working with, let's say, a director, for example, and we'll take a look at the side here. So let me just quickly move that a little. So you can see we have an HDMI in and we have an HDMI output on this side, and also DC in 12 volt, which you can use to power the whole thing from a V-mount, for example. And the great thing about the SD card or the Luts in combination with the HDMI out here is that you can actually use something like a wireless transmitter and give your director a LUT preview. And that's really nice. I mean, you can bake it into the footage here. It will not be recorded because this is not a recorder, this is just a field monitor. So the Ninja 5 was an actual ProRes recorder as well as field monitor. This is just for monitoring your stuff, your video footage. And it's really great at that. I mean, if you need something for focus, for composition, for exposure, this will give you plenty of features. We also have the screen mount here, and also on this side, we don't have one on the top, but we do have a couple of buttons here. So first of all, we have the power on switch, power off switch. If it's getting USB power, it will always be in this red state. And then you can just press for a second, leave it, and then the monitor will turn on. And so now you can judge for yourself how fast it turns on. I would say it's okay. Of course, just leave it on if you're waiting for the bride or something and you need to get the shot. But otherwise, yeah, totally fine. So let's take a look at the top here again. We have 3 function buttons. We have this back button, we have a set menu button, and this plus and minus, which I thought in the beginning, I'm not sure if, well, you can always just adjust your volume like this. So I guess it makes sense. But in the beginning, I thought it was actually used for, oh no, you can actually use it for that. Oh, my bad. Oh, same for this. So once you swipe like this, oh, you see? So I'm still learning stuff. Oh, there you go. So basically, you can adjust your volume. This does not have any built-in speakers, but like I said, if you use the headphone jack at the bottom here, you can adjust your volume really nicely. I actually like using it like this. Of course, I've also watched some other YouTube videos about this monitor to see what other people think. After I made my own opinion, of course, just to see if others were having the same issues. And I noticed that some others said that the touch monitor is actually really responsive, but I felt like the Ninja 5 was actually more responsive. It's like slightly laggy, but I'm also a gamer, so I'm really used to like low latency stuff. It drives me crazy, but I mean, you can work with it. We have these buttons at the top here. And when you go into the menu like this, you can actually use these buttons to move around. And as you can see, I'm pressing on the right button here, but it's actually going left, which it's kind of weird that they did it like this. But also, since it is a touch screen, you can just swipe up from the bottom here, and then you can add things like peaking, the histogram. We'll go through all the features a little bit later, but just so you know, this is how it works. So yeah, this one here enables this quick type of menu. And like I said, you can press here on the set button. You can also go back with this button up here. Then we have these 3 function buttons, which you can map to anything you like, or at least quite many functions inside of the menu, inside of the main menu that we'll be taking a look at in just a second. So you can see the first click doesn't do anything, but it shows you what type of feature you're looking at. After it gives you that notice, you can cycle through the different things here. And as you can see, we have this spectrum false color. It does not have specific areas for your skin colors. And then we have the airy one. And especially if you're shooting a log, you might have to be careful with using this type of false color here. But we'll talk about that later. I wish these buttons had perhaps like a little bit of texture to it. Maybe 1 dot on the first function button, 2 on the second, and so on. Just so you don't have to like try and see with 3 fingers. You can just use 1 finger and yeah, to get a better idea of which function you're activating here. So on the second one, we do have our peaking. As you can see, once again, it cycles through the different options here. Right now, I am not using a clean output. So of course, all the menu items are also affected by the peaking. Typically, you would use a clean output, so there would be none of these elements from the camera menu. And you would control the camera just by its native screen. But in this case right here, just to show you everything, I thought it would be interesting to also see the settings on the camera. but most cameras nowadays, they support a clean HDMI output. Most, not all. You could also, of course, use peaking inside of your camera. The GH7, for example, has internal peaking, so you could actually use that. And on the third function button, we have the center mark here. Once again, you can select a couple of different, colors here, and that's basically it. As far as I can tell, when you long press, you can see that now it is giving you the volume. When you long press the second function button, it gives you the brightness. So from here, you could go with the buttons. And the third one is actually the fan. If you long press, you could cycle through these. You have to long press several times, I guess. Or no, you can, okay, long press, and just like with the, oh, you see, I haven't really used these long press buttons here because I felt like they took a little bit too much time. You can probably hear my children through the door here, but I will be quiet for a second just so you can see. So basically the shotgun microphone I have here, it's perhaps a little bit more than half a meter away. So that would be a scenario where you're not that close usually. And that's on high, and I just set it to high manually. It can be a good idea if it's really hot inside to just set it to something like high. I actually didn't have any overheating issues, but if you want to increase the longevity of this monitor, and especially if you're using the highest brightness value, it was getting fairly warm, but yeah, like I said, no issues here. Just so you know, it can be better to set it to something static instead of the auto, because that one was often just turning itself off, then on and off. And if you want to use something like noise reduction, that on and off may give you something that is not as easily removable. That's basically it. Let me quickly show you again. So this is where the fan is. I think we have another exhaust here, or intake, depending. I actually haven't tested it, but well, it makes no difference. It's good to keep both of these open to have maximum airflow. Okay, so now let's take a look at all of the functions inside this monitor. This menu button at the top here, if you press it once, it gives you that quick menu. Let me guess, I haven't tried that before. If you press it long enough, yeah, it will open that menu. But you can also double tap like this, and it will also open the menu for you. So by default, in the beginning, I was kind of confused why it was highlighting the exposure assist. Just so you know, you can cycle through it with the buttons at the top as well, if you like to do that, or you can always just use the touch screen. Also, one more thing I'd like to mention here is if you press on the power on or off switch just once quickly, then you can cycle between touch off and touch on. And as you can see now, none of the touch features function. But if you do it like this, now, let me see. Yeah, there we go again. Now you can use it. Let's take a look at the shortcuts first. So you once again have your false color here, and you can press on here. You can also use the quick function button. And yeah, once again, the close here. It's interesting, they have it like this on the zebras as well. So you can see your zebras, basically you unfortunately only have one zebra pattern, but you can set it to any IRE you like. And once again, whether you're receiving a non-LUT preview from your log footage, or you actually have your LUT burnt in, like right now I am using the GH7 with a vlog, and it has a function to output a vlog to 709 LUT into the HDMI output. So it gives you a preview. You can actually see it at the top of the monitor here, but I guess it's a little bit too small here. But let me just quickly get over here, turn that off. And you can see now that I've turned it off, which is really interesting here. If we take a look at the zebras, for example, perhaps, yeah, you can now see it. Of course, it's completely different. So you have to be careful with that and be aware of what the monitor is receiving, because it is not aware of what your actual IRE values are. It's just aware of what this monitor is getting in terms of video output. So that's also one thing that could be important when you're using the false color feature here. Let me just show you again. If I now enable it, let me step out of the frame here. So I'm disabling it, now enabling it. You can see that, of course, that changes the false color result you're getting here. And it's important to be aware of that, because your exposure may actually be off if you are not aware of this. And yeah, the zebras, again, we just saw on the vlog, of course, we had much less zebras. So yeah, just so you're aware of it, you have to be careful what your camera is outputting so that you know whether you're receiving the actual, like you're benefiting from the false color here. It would be nice if there was an on-off switch and perhaps 2 different zebra patterns so that you could check both your skin tones and something like your highlights to protect those as well. The GH7 actually has double zebra patterns built into the camera. So it makes a lot of sense to just use that and show it through the monitor instead of using these zebras here. Same thing goes for other things like peaking, which I've mentioned before. But let's go through the rest of it. So basically, yeah, you have your histogram, you can use brightness or RGB, and you can select a position. Pretty basic here. And you can once again close it. We have the peaking, which we've looked at previously. You can also increase the strength here, and depending on how much contrast you have in your scene or image, you may want to use a different strength here. But other than that, it's pretty basic. So then we have the LUT here. As you can see right now, we have no data. So there are no LUTs that I've uploaded. Like I said, I personally don't use any LUTs at all, but it's nice that you can use LUTs if you want. So let's close that. You have a reset for all the functions inside this. And then we also have audio meters, which, yeah, if you're interested, you can use them. So much to the shortcuts. So yeah, let's take a look at the rest of the menu. Exposure assist. So once again, we have the false color. We have our zebras here. You can close them. Histogram, same thing. Now we also have the waveform. We have Y, YUV, and RGB, which is nice. You can also select the position, just like with everything else, and you can even combine it. Just be aware that you can actually have some overlap. So yeah, but perhaps you like that. I mean, you could show both the histogram and the RGB waveform here. Also the RGB histogram if you want, or close that. And let's just leave the parades here and take a look at the Vectorscope. Same thing here with the position. And also we have something called All Wave, and that's basically like a master mode where you have all of the different exposure tools here, and also have audio levels. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a little bit easier to read like this, especially the waveform, because otherwise it can get a little bit small. But that's really nice. So I have often used that. So let's get back into this one. Exposure assist, waveform, let's close that. Let's close the Vectorscope and take a look at HDR here. So if you're shooting in something like HLG, you can actually use that and preview it. So because this is a 2000 nits monitor, you can actually preview your HDR footage, which is amazing. And yeah, I am not much of an HDR guy. Most of the things I deliver are Rec 709, but it's nice that you can do that. And you also have a couple of presets, HLG BT2020, HLG Rec 709, HLG DCI P3, and even PQ. So let's close that because we don't need it. And continue with the next one, focus and composition here. So this one is single color, so it just shows you one of your channels, no other colors. It's it depends. This one can be a great night mode if you want, and you can also use it for focusing or some other stuff, or stylistic things even. What I like to do is use the Grayscale one. If you're, for example, looking at a scene and you want to decide on whether your contrast is looking good in camera, like you have set up your lights and everything, And especially if you have color, it may get a little bit hard to understand whether you have correct exposure or whether things are looking the way they should be. And if you use the grayscale here, that can be really nice and helpful. So then once again, we have the peaking here, just like in the quick menu. We have the center mark here, just like we've shown before. Let me just go through that again. So basically the same thing. We also have this safe area here, and you can decide between a couple of different percentages. You can also select the frame. You can see that the green one works really well here. If you want something decent, you can get this darker one, and you can change it any way you like. So depending on what you're doing, you may want a safe area. It's nice that this is built in. Then we have mark ratios, and same thing here. We can enable that. We have a transparency value, which you can either remove the transparency entirely. And like you just saw, if you have the darker edges here, you can barely see it. So you may want to combine it with something more prominent like the green one. But you can also raise the transparency here, or yeah, basically throw a darker shade on it so that you can see what you're cropping for. And yeah, that works really well. I like it like this. But one thing I'm actually missing here is 1:1. No square aspect ratio, although we quite often shoot in such a format. And also it's interesting that they do not have any vertical cropping here either. So sometimes, and the GH7 once again has this built in. Most other cameras, I think, do not. So Lumix generally is a company that really has amazing display and monitoring features in their cameras. But yeah, that's something I am missing here. So having basically vertical 16:9 aspect ratio would be nice. But of course we have things like yeah, Cinescope here and the other ones. So that's great. Then we have grid lines, and at the moment I have grid lines in the camera. So let me quickly disable those. So now we can use the built-in grid lines. I really like them. We have plenty, 5x5, 6, 6. You can see that gives you a lot of possibilities for setting your composition. I like to work with 3x3 most of the time. One thing that I'm once again missing here that is in the GH7 is the possibility to get diagonal lines as well, which can be nice for something like a Dutch angle, or if you're using leading lines and you want to get some creative stuff with that. But yeah, you have the same options here with the colors, and the grid lines work just the way I would expect them to. And once again, the audio meters that you can use here. Then let's continue with LUT config. And as we've talked about previously, you have your user LUTs, but you also have so-called system LUTs. So basically, if you gave a clean output of your log footage, so if your camera, for example, does not support a LUT via HDMI like the GH7 does, you could put that on top here. And you can see that, of course, looks off. But once again, if I disable that inside the camera, so now we can actually enable it from here, which can be nice. And I haven't checked how well that LUT actually works or whether it's accurate. But one of the things you once again want to be aware of is that this LUT is of course affecting all of the image. So since I am not outputting a clean image here, the LUT is affecting all the buttons. So you can see when I close it, the yellow color changes to something else. But yeah, you could use the system LUT here, and you also have some others for Blackmagic cameras, Canon C-Log, DJI D-Log. We also have another page here. And if your camera is missing, then of course you can just go ahead and use a user LUT. I think if I'm not mistaken, I had some issues. I was actually updating the firmware just the other day, and it was only accepting 16 gigabytes SD cards. Higher ones did not work for me. And also it only accepted MS-DOS FAT32, I think. exFAT was not supported. Not sure if that was just an issue that I had, but yeah, if it does not recognize your SD card, it may be because of that. So yeah, so much with the Luts here. Let's take a look at display settings. You can see you can either use auto or something like this. I don't know, it's not very useful for me, but it could be necessary. This display flip, on the other hand, that's a real lifesaver, especially if you're filming yourself or you have an overhead rig where you yeah, basically need to flip vertically or perhaps flip horizontally, so that when you're recording yourself and you move your right arm, it's not on the left side. So it's just a little bit easier to move around the camera and compose yourself in the image. So you, yeah, this is really nice. I like this feature and used it a lot. Then we also have the zoom. We have 1x, 3x, and we also can zoom like this. We actually have even up to 4x. Although you can see the way that works, it's, I don't know, it's a little bit weird. You can, like, you can see, you can move around, but then it goes away, and now it's actually affecting the volume instead. So I have to go in here, like, I'm not sure if I am, you also cannot use these buttons here. That felt a little bit, yeah, you can see that even when I go at the edge here, it's just, I don't know, maybe I am doing something wrong here. Like it doesn't feel very intuitive. Sometimes even opens the menu, not sure what's going on there. But yeah, let's continue with the rest of it. Let's go back to display settings. We also have this pixel to pixel mode. Could be helpful depending on your setup. We have the scan mode with overscan. I'm not using it, using standard here. We also have this freeze frame. So basically you can see if you press on open here, your image is frozen. Could be helpful if you want to show a specific frame to your director and he does not have a director's monitor, but you're also moving around on a gimbal or something. So that's really good. And then we have the battery and fan settings here. So basically you can decide to show the battery info or not. Although this one is a little bit interesting. Let me just see here if we connect the battery on the back side. And I press open. You can see that at the moment, let me remove the USB. So if I use this menu here, so if I swipe up, then it shows the batteries. Let me see if that's it. Because if I close here, now it's still showing it. So I don't know, not sure what that battery info open or close is doing. I'm not sure if you can see something, but yeah, it made no difference in my case. So let's just quickly take a look at the last setting, which is, or no, we did not, I mean, we took a look at it previously in the function buttons, but you can also adjust the fan speed here. So you can turn it off. And at the moment, no, it is actually off. I think it's the fan on my GH7 that is running. So on auto, no, on auto, it is completely silent right now. But like I said, especially when working with the higher brightness, the fan turned on a couple of times for me. But if you need something continuous, you could set it to low, and this one is barely audible. Medium, now I can hear it. And the high one, yeah, that one is definitely noticeable. We also have anamorphic. So we have a couple of different settings here. And yeah, I actually don't use anamorphic at all, unless I'm on a bigger crew and we have a dedicated focus puller and stuff like that. Otherwise, it can be yeah, quite stressy with manual lenses, especially if you're working alone. But yeah, you have the option for anamorphic, so that's great. And then we just have a couple of system settings here. So you can select a lot of different languages. You can select whether you want the menu to close itself after a certain period of time. So you can select up to 20 seconds or always leave it open. I prefer it like this. Then we have color. So you can adjust the way this monitor looks. The brightness, again, you can calibrate it, add some contrast, stuff like that, saturation. We also have tint. I just leave it at the default, and I think it looks, yeah, it looks fairly natural. I mean, it's probably not completely accurate, but it's good enough. And since I am correcting everything in post anyways, you could do some calibrating. I don't think you can use a calibration LUT for this. And you would have to fine tune it with these color temperature, red, green, blue settings and stuff like that. But it's nice that it's in there. And some monitors, they change over time. So the color does actually get less accurate and you have to recalibrate and stuff like that. But once again, if you're just using it for exposure, for focus peaking and stuff like that, and it's not accurate color, this will be just fine. Now let's also take a look at the backlight, because we do have an auto backlight feature here. I don't like this one, to be honest. So the auto feature, yeah, I mean, it depends, of course, but I like to keep it at something that I decide personally. Outdoors, I would always go on high. Even if it's cloudy, it's just better to look at. Let's just make this darker again. We also have a mute switch here for the headphones. And we have the hotkey defined here. You know what? Let's just quickly take a look at the update SD. So basically, if you put the firmware update on the SD card, you just put that into the SD card reader. You will be able to yeah, update the firmware here. And also we have a little bit of information on the type of input you have. And then we have the hotkey define. And as far as I can tell, that one only allows you to adjust the quick press. It does not allow you to adjust the long press. And yeah, you basically select the function button and then just select it here. So it's pretty intuitive, pretty self-explanatory. I'm not sure what the OK is for, because once you have changed it, so let's just say I do it like this or like this, yeah. And if I go out of here, you can see it's still there. So it's still what you've set it to. So these are just some quirks that this menu has, like the close. It's a little bit weird, you know, and also that you cannot adjust the rest of the functions like the long press. Perhaps I am missing it. So that are all features that we have in this monitor. Like I said, there were a couple of things that really surprised me. One being the extremely bright monitor. I mean, 2000 nits is crazy. And it will be really good for shooting outdoors. If it's really bright, you may benefit from even more nits, but it's really good outdoors. And indoors, yeah, the lowest brightness can actually be a little bit too bright, is what I found, especially if you're in a dark environment. You could go into the menu, into the display settings, and system config, and go to color, and then reduce the brightness here. I think for the price you're paying for this monitor, you're receiving a lot. 2000 nits is certainly a statement. And also you can see it here, the viewing angles are really good as well. So even if you have someone standing beside you and you want them to see everything, it is doing a really good job. The reason I hope that more camera manufacturers include monitoring features like these directly into the camera is, once again, like I said, if we take a look at the false color here, the spectrum, for example, for me personally, that's not really really helpful here, because unless I know what you have to know what you're exposing for. The Spectrum one does not have like, where are your skin tones, for example? The ARI one is better, but then again, you can see on this bar at the bottom here. So what do we have? I think we have 55 IRE. So that would probably be where your skin tones are. But depending on what your picture profile is, that may actually be underexposed. And the green one here, I guess that's where middle gray is, perhaps 42 IRE. But it actually looks like it's even further down there. So it totally depends on what camera you're using, and please just be aware of that. So yes, this does have false color, and if you know how to use that with your specific camera, that's amazing. But from my experience, let me just disable false color again, it can be much more helpful to instead just use something like zebras. So the main benefits I see in using this monitor is the very large screen and the extreme brightness levels, which you just don't get from a small camera monitor. And using your viewfinder, I mean, it's much better to have something as big as this. So 7 inches also, I've been using the Ninja 5, which is just 5 inches. 7 inches is really, really nice. You get a good idea of your final image. It is really good for exposure, for focus peaking as well. And one thing I also noticed is that when I was using this monitor, I, even on set, always knew whether my clip was good or not. But when I'm just using my camera and I have that small screen, sometimes I am surprised in the editing room, because sometimes I thought this looks like crap, but we'll have to go with this, we'll have to roll with this. And then it looked amazing. Sometimes it was the other way around. But this one, I knew exactly. What is the exposure like? What is the final image looking like? It gave me a good idea of that. And that's where I think this monitor really shines. I mean, like I said, this is not the most expensive monitor. Build quality is okay. I think it will hold up over time just fine, although I did not drop it or anything. So you'll have to test that for yourself. But it feels like a good product. And especially for the price, especially for the features it has inside, it's already a great value. But if they can improve the things that I've mentioned earlier, and I think most of the things could be improved, like the vertical blocking so that you can shoot for social media, or the 1:1 aspect ratio, stuff like that, it certainly can be improved. I mean, they just last month, I think that's when they put another firmware on there, but it was more like bug fixing, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks again to Neewer for sending this monitor to me. It was really nice working with it. And yeah, I hope my critique is not too harsh. It's actually a really good monitor, really good value. Just depends what you're doing. If you need something to record ProRes, this may not be it. But if you need something big, bright, and just good overall package, I think this is as good as it gets for the price. I think that's it. I'm actually kind of amazed that my lights have are not dead already, because this one up there is just running on battery. And usually when I do stuff like that, something runs out of battery, but I have optimized my setup. So I actually have a lot of USB-C cables running to each camera so that it is powered. Same goes for this small light here. And it's just that one up there, which was really important. Yeah. Good job. It's a really, really nice little light there. And also, let me just quickly show you something. Look what we have here. I actually bought this one used on eBay a couple of weeks ago. Oh, there's some dust on it because I didn't have a lot of time to play with it yet. But it's a 3-axis slider. It's actually the older version from the Zeapon, the Micro 3. So if you guys are interested in seeing a review on this slider, then please let me know. From what I've seen so far with it, it's a really nice thing. And yeah, I actually used the monitor with it to preview it. I just attached a magic arm to the tripod, and the monitor was doing a great job there. So yeah, let me get that out of the way again. Okay, Anything else to say? Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen each other. I do have a couple of plans for YouTube in the future. Right now, I am still like building my studio, and perhaps we're actually moving apartments, because this studio right here, it is just one room of the 3-room apartment we have, 90 square meters. Living with 4 people here with 2 kids. That's been the reason I wasn't able to create as many videos. I was focused on work a lot and stuff like that. So yeah, this is not really optimized. You can actually see up there how tight this space actually is. So we have this huge wall of IKEA furniture, which is really nice for all my gear. I should probably close that. I still need to do some organizing. But yeah, if we will move soon, then I may have a bigger studio, and then you may actually see more frequent videos. Right now I'm just winging it. My kids are running through the floor. Through the floor? On the floor? Well, they're not running through like through a wall, but yeah, so much to that. So yeah, if you liked this video and this overview of the F700 field monitor was helpful, then make sure to leave a thumbs up and perhaps subscribe to this channel. Yeah, this has been a longer video, not my typical scripted, yeah, very tight edited video. I think it makes a lot of sense to show you everything from such a piece of equipment. And I remember that my Ninja 5 video in the past, where I was also going through all the functions. It was a German video, by the way. I've switched to English a couple of videos after that. And yeah, people really liked it, if I remember correctly, because I was giving an overview of everything. And I think this monitor is a great option for a lot of creators, and hope that yeah, this video helped in deciding whether it is the right monitor for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have to clean up now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. That was a long one. What is the temperature in here, by the way? I've been using these auto poles for a while now. Same for the camera mount up there. And it's amazing. It's amazing how you can, sorry about the cables, how you can use that in small rooms. How much space that gives you. That's really, yeah, that's really something that I want to do another video on. Let's see. Okay, enough talking. See you in the next one.